So there's a lot of different churches. There's a lot of different styles. There's a lot of different discussion about what our worship is going to be like. But one thing that I feel like gets overlooked really often is the desired production level for your worship service. And here's what I mean. A lot of churches we walk into have this philosophy that their production level is gigantic, touring, world-class rock concert with high production value and all these crazy things going on. But they're trying to pull that vision off with a very small budget, volunteer musicians in a small church, and usually not a lot of equipment. Why is that such a dangerous road to go down?
Well, I mean, a lot of times you're trying to model something off of something else. When, honestly, and I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but just take inventory of the people in your church.
Yeah.
Take inventory of your culture. Figure out what your culture is. Be confident in yourself as a church. And don't try to be like everybody else or whatever. Take inventory of that. For example, we are here in First Crescent Baptist Church, which they are awesome, by the way. They got an incredible story of this gorgeous auditorium that they built. It took years to build this thing. They did it debt-free. We've been with them for about a decade. It's a 30-year journey. It's a wild, crazy story. This auditorium is like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, it's different. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like
very unique.
It just feels good to be in here. And I will say this, it feels like the people of this church. The worship leader, John Lovett, great guy. He's been here for 20 some years. And I don't normally name names, but like we're here.
He's awesome.
We're here. So why not? You can just tell that they know their self.
Yeah.
They know who they are as a church. They know what kind of people they have, and they're not trying to be like anybody else. This is not a very big town.
Right.
You know?
But what's cool about that is when you look around the auditorium, and I could check off some checklists that certain churches would think they know what this church looks like. Okay, I see a haze machine. I see some moving headlight fixtures. I see, right? And so in your head, you might instantly go to, oh, these guys must replicate this high production value. But the way they utilize those tools is completely unique to them.
Yeah, and
it doesn't look just like another cookie cutter giant church.
No, and there's a vibe. You go in here and you just feel like there's been a lot of community in this room. And in my opinion, community is way more important than production level.
Totally.
Like, of course, we did all this. We put all the sound panels up. We put all the lights. We put up the PA. We put everything that has anything to do with tech in this room. We installed, and we installed it professionally, and we maintain it. And they just literally just use it, and they don't have fancy tech people. They're just very humble, awesome, salt of the earth kind of people, volunteers. And, you know, they'll ask us questions and stuff, and we'll come in and help them through whatever they need. But they know, they're confident in who they are as a church.
That's the really cool thing is, like, you can have equipment. These guys purchase equipment with intentionality. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Every piece of equipment that's on this stage has a role in their worship service, and they've thought through what that is. They've thought through how it looks, how it feels, what it is to them, and it's unique. You wouldn't be able to replicate it, or you wouldn't need to replicate it, and they're not trying to replicate somebody else. They're just
being them.
They're just being themselves. And that's what I think a lot of churches need to have that discussion is, like, if you are trying to be this high production value, then go invest in the gear, build the sanctuaries, hire professional musicians, do it. But if that's not your vibe, if that's not who your church is, then I think you're going to be a lot better off figuring out who you are. Because also, some of the greatest worship services I've ever been in are just a couple musicians who have been playing together for a long time. Maybe not even much of a sound system, but people who show up, who are hungry, who want to worship together, who are excited to be there. And maybe it's just a couple lamps, you know, turned on in a room, and a couple acoustic guitars and a cajon. Some of the most powerful worship services, because we're not trying to be something it's not.
You're being you.
Yeah. And if you're true to yourself, you're true to your congregation, you're true to who you are as a church, then whatever production level supports that is the right level.